Here I am at the ruins of St. Raphael. It is the Feast of St. Clare, August the 11th, 2026. And I took my motorcycle here. It's about an hour and a half from Barhaven. Not too bad. Beautiful day. Oh my God. Anyway, as I reflect on this feast and this relationship with St. Francis, St. Francis was in the little church of San Damiano, and right at the altar in Italy, there was a cross there, and he came to the church in ruins and heard a voice of, he heard our Lord's voice himself say, Francesco, rebuild this church which has fallen. Now, of course, Christ wasn't referring to the physical church, which, of course, we look here and it's pretty much as burned down by fire in 1970. In Italy, the reference that Christ is talking about was the spirituality of the church, where people had taken the church for granted. And he meant rebuild the very spiritual foundations of the church. So it goes back to its roots. So St. Francis went to Pope Innocent III and basically asked the Pope himself if he was on the right track. And he was. So he got the papal blessing to go around the whole world and to start his order, which became known as the Franciscans. But also on today's feast, which is St. Clare, the poor Clare. St. Clare was very close to St. Francis, and she found her own order because she was very close to St. Francis himself. And so they were right around the same time, came from a wealthy heritage. They gave everything. They laid it all down to be able to become religious and found this order. We can learn a lot from the people of those times in the days that we're living today, because we're living in a time where, things seem to be falling apart all around us. Whether it's people abandoning the faith or the lack of civility, to people just seem so confused about everything. If you look at even in psychology, spikes in suicide, depression, addictions, you name it. We're dealing with all that stuff now. But it's not without hope, because who's in charge of the church? It's Christ. Christ founded the church, and he could be saying this. He is saying the same thing to us today as he did to the people of the past. He's saying to you and to me, he's saying, rebuild my church which has fallen. And so we each have to hold each other to account, whether we're, members of the clergy, whether we're lay people or people in public office, whatever. It's not enough that we have verbal posturing and promises of all kinds. We have to also be able to express through our actions that we are people of our word under the one word of God, which is truth. Christ said, I am the way, I am the truth, and the life. That there is no salvation outside of Christ himself. So we place our faith in him. And we don't compromise with that, because that's reality. We're called to be rooted in reality. When we're not, when we're following our passions and addictions, the ways of the world, that basically wears us down, then we burn up. We burn out. And we realize the falsity of the world, that the world cannot give what God gives. Christ offers us everlasting life, truth and goodness, beauty, all those things. So may we, this feast of St. Clare, may we aspire to the fullness of our call and to be not ashamed of our faith. May we participate in the Lord's truth. Faith, hope, and love. What did he say the greatest is? The greatest of these is love.